Hi, it's Lorelei with Radiate Life with Lorelei and LorelaiBrogan.com. And so today I'm doing another, this is a video blog, and this one I'm going to see about, this is probably going to be a pretty good pace because I want you, once I start, I want to be able to focus you in a direction of some things that are coming up right now. And if you don't know me, or this is the first time you're watching a video, you know, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to feel into your heart and place a center in your heart. And I want you to know that the reason why I do these videos, especially this raw and real, is because whenever I'm inspired, I do a video blog, or I send healing, or I write something down, because I want you to, you can open your eyes, I want you to show up with who you are. I want you to know that you are loving and amazing, and the energy that you have here is for you. So don't see with your physical eyes. I want you to really, really focus when you look in the mirror, like when I look in the mirror, I want you to focus on love. I want you to love yourself, and I want you to love your body, and I want you to love who you are and what you do. And it doesn't matter what anyone else has said or what any other conscious or unconscious patterns are. I want you to take something about yourself and love yourself. Maybe you love your smile, maybe you love your eyebrows, maybe you love the color of your eyes, maybe your eyes constantly are changing colors. I want you to find something about yourself. You love your laughter, you love the way your hair color is, or the way your hair feels, or you just love the way you move, you love the way your voice sounds, you love how it feels to be in your life and in your body, that you love the way your hands are shaped, or you love the silly ways that you dance. You know, just really keep building on and on. What are the things that you love about yourself? And these are things that are private. These are not things that you share with other people, like, well, other people don't think I have a good voice, or other people don't think I'm pretty, or other people don't think that I'm valuable, or people judge me because of the way that I look, or the way that I sound, or the way that I express myself. All right, I want you to know this is why I'm here, and I love my mom, but much to my mom's chagrin, she does not like when I do these videos. But bless her heart, because you know what? We're all healing. And because, isn't it true? Because she knows who I am, and she wants me to show up in a better package. She wants me to be more packaged, and I love her so much. But I have to say that, you know, she came from a generation where physical appearances were so important, and women were wearing makeup and the beehive and all that stuff when she was growing up. And she wouldn't leave that. She would not go check the mail without makeup on. So it was really, really hard for her at some point in my life when I just stopped wearing makeup. And it's not that I don't wear makeup. It's like when I feel inspired, my inner guides tell me, where's your glitter? And I was like, it took me a long time to go, my glitter, what are they talking about? And glitter, my makeup is always, it has a shine to it. Every glitter I have, it has glitter. And I can't even call it what it would even be. It's sparkly, it sparkles, right? So I want you to do that. I want you to feel really good about yourself, and I want you to know that that's what I'm doing here. And if it's too hard, if you hear yourself being judgy, you know, maybe I'm not the person that you want to be around. Maybe I'm not the person that you want in your life, because I'm going to show up as I am. And if you can't hear that message, it's okay. It just means that I'm not here. I'm here. It doesn't mean I'm not here for you, but you have choice. I want you to know you always have choice, and it's really important that you be with people that you resonate with. And it's also important to not listen to people who we don't agree with. Now, I'm talking about as a spiritual healer and teacher, all right? Yes, there are times in our life where it is important to hear someone else's point of view. But this is my program. We've been offline, we're now coming online. And so every situation is unique. And I want to tell you that. What perspective am I coming from? I'm coming from the self-love and the self-nurturing perspective. I'm coming from the perspective that I am here to embody and to let my light shine and my love shine and my colors fly free and my individuality, because I want you to do the same. I know it's important for us to do the same. We are not the same. We come together as individuals. So self-love is so important. You have to have love for yourself and really do that inner work, self-healing. We have to do that breath healing, healing the inner womb. We have healing the consciousness with the breath and the energy and the color together. And I for a long time stayed as a kind of scientist, right? Very dedicated, very concentrated, very focused, very consistent. Super important. Super, super, super. I can't tell you how your body needs that. Your body needs that kind of discipline, that kind of focus, and that kind of attention. Now, that's what I call the pillars, the 4 pillars or columns that form a rectangle, which is your earthly abode. And that it requires that. But that doesn't require just that. It also requires creativity and art and flow. It requires joy. It requires spontaneity. It requires being planned. It's all these things kind of weaving together is what I say. All the different fabrics of your life, all the different threads of your life. Choose which threads. Choose what your weave is and how your weave is, and choose your texture. This is how I view my world, and this is how, you know, this group is coming together, is through these fabrics and these textures of who we are. So it really does start with you. It really does start with who you are. And this week, another thing that kind of came in from our inner guidance into this pool that we have here, our ocean, our beautiful sacred waters that I get to caretake for you and with you, is that we are individuals coming together to create something in our world. It's a project, it's a way of life, but we are going to be coming together to create something. And then at the end of that creation period, which is probably going to be about 21 or 28 day cycles, then that will whatever it is will be our goal, and then we'll have a reset, and then we'll start over. So what it means is that you can come in and do a program or do a class or do some private one-on-ones with me for like a 28-day period. But then at the end of that, we do this assessment. And the assessment is, we go back, because in the beginning I'm going to say, and whether it's a one-on-one or it's a class that we're doing, or you're doing an on-demand class with me as a healer and launching yourself, it comes with self-love. What we'll do is say, okay, you have to set a goal for yourself. You have to set an intention. I'll give you the questionnaire. I'll give you a format. I'll give you a healing journal. And you journal, where are you and what do you want and what have you done? And we'll kind of look at all these different aspects of how do you feel and how are you supported, so we get a really good snapshot of your energy, of your physical support, and what are the ingredients that you're going to call in order to create your life. Because if you call them in and they come in a different package than what you expected, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's okay. I thought that was going to come in a different package. I thought that answer was going to be a little different, but you know what? Oh, that's good. This is good for me to receive this and figure this out for myself. I'm kind of like an energy coach. But I know as I've grown in my own practices and in working with my kids for sure, and my clients and my family, is that it doesn't matter what my perspective is. right? It doesn't matter what my perspective is in the sense of how that's related to you and your world. All right, what's important is that you know what your perspective is, because your perspective is going to change, okay? It needs to change. It's it's like looking at one of those perspective drawings. There's one that the very first one I remember seeing and that I used when I taught my classes when I was started at 25 years old. One of the classes, the first day of class, there was a drawing, and this was in 1990, so it tells you quite a while ago. But I would hand it to my adult students, and many of them were 10, 20 years older than I was. So that I was kind of the opposite of what happens now, where I was very young, and it was a challenge for people to learn from me in the beginning. I want to say that because I was so much younger. But I'm like, no, look, these are exercises, these are lessons, these are things that are going to help you develop who you are. And I'm a good teacher because I'm very diligent, I'm very disciplined. And although we may be each at other ages, when we come together from these perspectives, eternal perspectives, you'll either enjoy it or you won't enjoy it. You get into it what you receive from it, what you put into it. Okay, so always from day one, I'm going to say that. So I'm giving you this daily vlog today because I want to teach you some important things that whether you choose me or not, these are things that spiritual healers and teachers in the world really need. And these were some things that I'm very, very grateful for my first teacher, who was only with me for 9 months. And also made her transition when we were reconnecting. It's like everything she said was gold, and I remember she really packed it in. I think she knew that she wasn't always going to be there, but I really met her at a time when she was really hitting a high note of her life and spiritual teachings, and I didn't realize how unique it was at the time. So as my kids are growing and I have my teenagers, like, you know, it's such an interesting time. Okay, I want to say that a lot of what I'm going to be sharing, it comes, just remember that I'm raising teenagers. And one of the things that I didn't realize that I do realize now and I see with my teenagers is that it is healthy for them to put on that outside loop, as I call it. There's the inner loop, the inner circle, and the outside loop. I don't think we don't really, I'm going to say in our experience as parenting, our empathic kids, highly connected kids, that sometimes it feels like they put me on the outside and I'm not allowed in. They tag me out. They used to tag us in all the time. They're like, you're tagged out, Mom. You can't even be by the soccer field. You're just way out there. And one of my children said, I'll let you know when I need you. And I went, ow. But I know, having had them come full circle, they don't even remember that, because they were just like, I need you to stay there so that I can be in here and figure out what's going on with me, figure out what I believe or what I don't believe. And we didn't fill them up with a bunch of dogma. We didn't fill them with a bunch of things. We did a really good job in providing a buffet for them, being who we are, and I'm feeling like that's what they need as parents, of who we are and as we're evolving. So, but as my teenagers experienced past lives, okay, past lives would come up. Some of them they experience, which I experienced too, which is this simultaneous lifetimes. And we also have family members who are quite spiritually advanced who also communicate with us, and they've been they're in a simultaneous lifetime, and they're able to come back and to share different things with us. Multidimensional living really is what it's about, and really make this more simple with less dogmas, what my spiritual guides are telling me. So this is why I'm bringing some of this information in, so that we could have more conversations. If you have had these experiences or you're wondering what that is, I will talk more, share more about that as I'm beginning to process that more. So this is, again, this is about self-love. This is Start Here. This is my video vlog for today, is about Start Here. When there was chaos and a lot of things that were going on in my life, I planted a tree, I planted a pole in the center of my life, and I went, okay, this is me, and I drew a circle around, and I'm like, start here. I'm like, and at that point in time, I was, what do I have control over? And I drew a circle and I stood in the center of it. And I'm like, this, if I feel like nothing else is in my control, this small little circle that I could stand in and hold myself in, like, this I know. What I put in my body to eat, what I think in my mind, what I create with my hands, whether I walk or I don't walk in nature, whether I sing or dance that day. You know, these are all things that are within my control that I know fill myself up, and they're indeed the things that I really require before I meet the day. So a lot of the things that I'll be sharing with you do really come from this crossroads in my own life, and it continues to evolve over and over. And we're really shifting, again, the shifts that are going on around us. You know, my crew, my inner guidance is here to say, focus on the things that we can do. Let go of the things that we can't do. Perception is reality, okay? So whatever your perception is, whatever your client's perception is, whatever your kids' perception is, what your animal, they have perceptions, what your animal's perception is. Know that if you do energy work and meditation, the biggest shifts that you're going to be able to see, feel, notice is going to be emotionally, and it's going to be within your nervous system. Now, it also does move into your DNA, but the first things people are going to be finding out, and you're going to find out in yourself, is you're going to feel more relaxed. You're going to feel that you have more energy. You are going to notice that whatever sleep you get at night, it is exactly what you need. All right? And that all starts here. So if you can start here, this is the place to be. We're going to be doing heart healing. We're going to be doing rebirthing healing. We're going to be learning the alchemy of breath. We're going to be returning to simplicity, because simplicity is the most powerful thing. Because think about this. When you're learning something that has a lot of moving parts, and it's a more advanced understanding, there is a part in time in which your mind literally is blown, like, oh my gosh, how are all these things fit together? How do all these things work? And then yet, you know, as you understand bit by bit and piece by piece, it's like putting together a puzzle or solving a Rubik's Cube. Once it's solved, you're like, that is so easy now. That is easy for me to understand. And then, really, rather than trying to say, oh, it's so hard to understand this, oh, it took so long, you know, that disempowers us and other people, really. And it's an aspect of the ego. The ego needs to be fluffed up. The ego requires being noticed. That ego motivation of the physical body requires that kind of energy and attention, okay? But the ego that is naturally motivated from within does not require that outside need to be seen, need to be recognized for struggle, need to be recognized for effort. It can go into the center like all great athletes. No, you make things for effort. You don't know the thousands of hours Michael Jordan put into his game, how the athletes using EFT, swimmers using EFT and visualization, they put in so much time and so much effort. Why? So they can show up on game day and everything is from within, right? It's the energy, and it's the what they visualize, and it's moving in the unknown and the games. And this is what makes athletes so amazing at the top of their game, because they say, I put in the work, that's the structure, I put in the focus, the discipline, I even put in the visualization. And then that's all to say they have to be able to pull that together in the moment, in the game, play by play, things that are coming up, to be in the moment. And that truly is what we're working towards, is to be that kind of attuned and in line. And we need both. We need the discipline. We need to learn how to still and focus the mind. We also need the creativity. We need the flow to come together. It's like we need the person who goes out and surveys your land for a new house. You need the people who come in and actually build that foundation. The foundation starts everything. You know the story about building it on rocky or sandy or shifting sand. You have to really, those 4 pillars, create that rectangle for what you have, and continuing to build on that. Then you have the architects that help you draw the blueprint of your house. Well, the blueprint actually starts even with the land, but so there's the land, the people who come in and prepare the land, then you have people that do pour the foundation, then you have people who come in and set the framework, and then you have people who build the framework into your living and your roof and all that. And then you have the interior designers, right? You have the people who come in and put the electrical in, the appliances in, all the major things that work within the house. And then you have the interior designer who comes in to do what? To help you make your house your home, right? So those are all the kinds of things that we're going to be working on. And it's like it's your house. You get to start it from the inside out. And I wanted to say a couple other things here before I go is, so I want to tell you, here's a couple of things that as a spiritual teacher and a healer that my first teacher taught me. So this is what my teacher taught me, and I'll just give you this step 1. So my teacher taught me that we taught a weekly class, and we had a format where people had books they read, they had written materials that they read every day, they had a dream journal they kept, they were meditating after about 4 weeks, and we came together to talk about what they learned, to talk about how their progress was. We did spiritual exercises during class, and if they were ready, then they got a new lesson. And so it was a commitment to come weekly, but it was a commitment to self-care and self-development, spiritual growth daily. So she said that, well, 1, the teachers were only those individuals who were part of the program who they themselves had teachers or had earned their doctorate and were still staying on as teachers and part of the larger fabric of this institution. Then she would say to me when I first started teaching, she said, the most important part is that you're a really good student. The most important part is if you want your students to be journaling every day, you journal every day, you write down your dreams. And basically she was saying that you work in tandem with your teacher to make sure that you're growing. Because as you grow, you have nothing to fear when you show up in teaching. But if you stop growing, if you stand there and say, the best thing for your spiritual growth is to do these exercises or to write down your dream or whatever that focus happens to be, or heal yourself every day. If you want to step into the energy of healer teacher, the archetype of healer teacher. Archetype of healer teachers, what I'm really talking about is how to become that archetype of healer teacher in our world. And that's beyond the 3D, even beyond the 5D reality, really. But that's what the goal is. That's what our next step is. And so I could see that. Like, I totally got that, because what happened was I'd go in front of my students, and then my teacher would also tell me this, is like, okay, so when you're teaching, the very first thing that you do is you make sure you go and do a meditation and clear your mind. If there's anything that's going on in your life, if you're frustrated with any of your students, if you're frustrated with your progress, if you're frustrated with maybe you're teaching a lesson you're not as confident in, right? You write all that out, you set it, you burn it or set it down, you know, burn it on a piece of paper, put it on a piece of paper, rip it up, and then you do a meditation to center yourself and be the teacher that you know you can be and the teacher they need you to be. And so then when you're walking into the room, you might even see it. If that doesn't work, you might do this, is you see that the energy that you have that's a part of your personality, you take it off like a coat and you hang it up on the door outside the room, because we taught in houses and rooms, and you put it on the coat hanger and you leave it there. And when you walk into that room to teach, you embody the spiritual teacher that you know you can be, your best teacher, and that you're there for your students. And that time when you're together from beginning to end is just about that time together, and to really allow yourself to embody that spiritual teacher, right? And part of that is we're talking about setting your ego aside. So when you come from that perspective, there's the first initiation that happens. Like, first of all, for you as a teacher, you get out of your way, you've got your ego out of the way, you're not teaching from your karma, you're learning how to teach from your dharma. Just even being able to take that step is 1,000 times more healing for anybody that then steps into the room before anything is said. Because maybe for the first time in their life, they're coming into an area where somebody doesn't want something from them. That the teacher doesn't need them to show up, to do their exercises, to do anything other than the recognition that the teacher is stepping forward and providing the opportunity, all right? Now that was the beginning. So the beginning steps, that's what I was taught. And I could tell, you know, what a difference that would make. When I really focused on doing that. And then after a time, as I taught more and more, became more comfortable, it was, I get to teach, because teaching meant that I got to put my own stuff aside and I got to really just step in the light and say, okay, what do we have? Because we taught healer teacher. We taught people personal accountability and responsibility. And we put the onus back on them. We didn't demand it, but we showed them, you will want to stay because you're doing exercises that are helping you notice any limitations, but then you have equally or more ability to move forward, to learn. Rather than hiding, it becomes being vulnerable in a setting that says, pick me, put me on the hot seat, interpret my dream, what's going on with me, what do you see? Because people were growing from within, because people were being given a nurturing and assistance and love and belief without expectation, without requirement. So I'm going to just say the one thing, because I don't want to overload this one. So the way that I would say it now, and the way that one of my teachers, again, I just came across this the last couple of weeks. So here's the thing. So now, archetype, spiritual teacher, teaching is this, healer teacher is this, is that I step into that classroom, whether it's a virtual classroom or whether it's a one-on-one client or whether it is, you know, a group where we're working on some kind of dedicated project, right? Is that I love and give in that environment, in that class, in that setting, to my client, in the space together, what I put together for them, what inner guidance can bring forward for them. We create this sacred space for them. And I get to be present, and I get to witness, and I get to draw in whatever needs to come in that time period. And I am lit from within, and I receive as I'm giving. I receive through being able to deliver something that I had a part in planning. I had a part in bringing the resources together, and then it's like offering it as a gift. Now, I'm a coach, and I'm on that outside circle, and I might interject and say, well, what do you see, and what do you think, and how do you feel? What was your goal? And by the end of that session, I say to them, have you shifted? And I don't want them to say yes and not mean it. I want them to go within themselves and see, what else do you need? Because I want you to feel empowered that outside of our class, outside of our session, you have a seed in your container, or it's blossoming, or I want you to be able to go and be the gardener. I don't want you to feel like you have to come back to me in order to get yourself where you need to be and create that way. All right, I'm creating independence because I value you, and because I know that it takes a higher degree of energy and insight to say to you, what do you want and did you manage it? Because we really live in a society that says someone else is responsible for your growth. You go to a teacher or you go to a chiropractor, not picking on chiropractors or acupuncturists, but they do something that does alter, manipulate your body, and you feel better for that period of time. And I love acupuncturists and I love chiropractors and I love massage therapy too. That's another one, right? So what happens is that your body can come into alignment as best that it can. It's your body, right? I mean, they only have your body to work with. So then they get it to move or to be the best that it can be. You're feeling better. So that's the structure of your system. And then here's your emotions and your thoughts and your choices and your energy, and they come in and they work together with the template of your body. Now it can reverse what was done with acupuncture. Your misalignment can go back into place because your body feels more comfortable out of alignment than it does in, right? Because your spine is nice and straight, your joints are flexible and moving, but yet something happened where your shoulder was out, or your neck, or your pelvis was out, or your foot was out, and your body adapted to that being the least line of resistance, but therefore your flow, your energy, everything, your spine cannot ever be 100% activated because one part of it is out of alignment, okay? Acupuncturist, you get an adjustment, you blow up at something, you put yourself out. You change the flow of your system. You go to a chiropractor, something happens. Your body goes out, your neck still hurts, your hip still hurts. Something was moving, but it hasn't been complete yet. All right? Massage, same thing. They can help loosen the tension, loosen the body. If you go to someone who also does energy work, they'll work on the limiting thoughts and the resistance. They could work on also activating the thoughts and ideas and things that you need in order for your next step. You just need to focus on your next step, right? So what we're talking about is that when you approach your life and when you approach with your clients as a healer and teacher, that you are that starting point and you radiate out and you create that environment for them. You ask them what they want, and the effort that they put into it is what they get out of it. All right? So I'm not responsible for your healing. I'm not responsible for the healing that doesn't take place, right? I'm responsible for the energy that I bring to this place, and my inner guidance is constantly showing me where I'm at and what I'm doing. I have a teacher. I have many teachers. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to step forward. So I want you to know this is a very easy thing to do and to incorporate that and to teach this, but most of all to live it and let yourself embody and being a living example of that archetype. How do we learn to be an archetype? It starts with where we're at. If we want to be a healer, we have to start with ourselves, because all healing is self-healing. So this is an example of when you have someone, whether, doesn't matter what energy technique that you're working on, or you're a massage therapist or an acupuncturist or a chiropractor, or you're going to that, the teamwork becomes somebody can help you alter your body, alter your energy, alter your state of mind with psychologists as well. But then the energy that you put into your vehicle, it's either going to help or hurt that. And so that's what you're responsible for. You are responsible for that. And as a teacher, I think we have a high degree of responsibility to set that forth for our students. That this is my sacred water as I see it. My responsibility is to clean my water and to really say, do I have a system in place where I could bring people in who are going to be able to be taken care of, right? And that's taken a while to really build and develop that, and a lot of steps in my own self, building and developing myself. So the way that you give freely to your students and freely to your clients and freely to your children and freely to your spouse and freely to yourself and your friends and your family is that the aspect of giving instantaneously is receiving. Okay, we are not, doesn't require us to have students show up being alive and doing the right thing and saying, oh, I'm a good teacher because my students are doing well. Or, oh, I'm a bad teacher because my students aren't doing what they need to be doing. What can I do in order to elicit more from them or more results, okay? It goes back to this, again, as an archetype, you bring that sunshine, you bring that sacredness, okay? You know what that is. And that's up to you as being the spiritual parent. A lot of times you see it as, or the spiritual adult, the archetype, moving into not just a role, but really embodying and being a spiritual archetype of healer, teacher. When your student says, you know what, you're responsible for changing my life, you say to them, you are responsible for changing your life, and I am grateful and I appreciate watching you bloom and watching you grow. Yes, like a buffet, I added an ingredient, but you're the one who had to partake in that ingredient. You're the one who had to go up time and time again, and not to be attached to whether we have students who are going to vocally tell us, you did a great job, I love you as a teacher, you're amazing. Equally, they could say, I'm having a really hard time and I'm going to hold you responsible and I blame you, and if I had a different teacher. So both of those things really, the archetype of spiritual teacher, both those things actually hold equal value. Not one is more valuable than the other, because what I did is my own growth comes from what I'm giving. My own growth and my receiving comes from being able to present that and to create that. Now what happens, the other magic or whatever happens. I mean, how many times you have to allow your kids to show up and be messy? I mean, I can't tell you how many times my kids show up and tell me that I'm not doing a good job, and they'll write down exactly what they need to be doing. And that's not always easy to take, but it's not easy to take only when I'm stuck in my own physical residue, when I'm stuck in needing to be a good parent, when I'm stuck in, oh, that means that I'm a good parent or I'm a bad parent. And it gets very, very, very subtle. That I can move into curiosity, because this is where I recognize now, even with my own kids, and it's super intense times with 3 teenagers. I felt like I made the shift this last week where I can say, well, what's going on with you? How is it? You know, what is it that I'm doing that you're having this response to? Because it's about their perception. Perception is reality. You can't override your own perception by someone else's. It will not stick. And then what will happen is there will be this anger, the projection, and there's nothing wrong with anger and projection. When you are in that spiritual environment, I've had so many teachers that allowed me to really get it out. And they would hold that loving space for me in a container so I could not hurt myself and I wasn't hurting them. I had another coach, a business and spiritual coach, tell me, he could tell that I was holding back. And he's like, you have to trust that I trust myself. You have to trust that no matter what you say, I am not taking that personally and I'm holding this space for you. So whatever you need to do, absolutely, if you need my permission, you have my permission, but whatever you need to do. And he was right. He was really, really right, because I had something that was coming up, and at the moment I can't think about what it was, but it had to be something about authority and about feeling, I think it had to do a time thing, like there was something, okay, yes, here it is. So I had an hour session. Of course, at the end of your hour session, something huge pops open that you don't have time to deal with, but it's huge. And I knew we didn't have time, and I didn't want to bring it up because I knew we didn't have time. And he said, let me manage the time. Let us manage our expectation. We had an agreement about when it starts and ends, and whether he had time or not, that he would let me know, but that I could go in there and get it. And maybe I only needed about 5 sentences into it to get past the opening packaging of that, and I could get to the meat. I could get to what it was I really needed. And he knew that in 5 minutes that could happen. And I was standing on the outside going, oh, we only have 5 minutes. I don't know if that's going to be enough time. And he said, don't worry about that. I'm managing the space. You get back in the center. And it is another way that as a healer, a teacher, and a parent, that we can not get into our own issues by quote unquote worrying about other people. It's like, no, you go back in the center. I got this. And I went ahead and I did it. And I really appreciate it. And that was such a powerful thing, because at that time, like, there was an opportunity I'd really never had before, and especially in that moment, being that raw and that vulnerable. So energy work is, sometimes people don't like to talk about how powerful it is and how much responsibility goes into that. And that's why this platform that we're developing here, this sacred water, is really like putting out the ideas for you, and putting out, the different in my pool, in my sacred waters, in this ocean that I'm taking care of, there are a lot of different things that you can go and explore and do. And there are other sacred waters, and there are other sacred responsibilities. It's kind of like, it reminds me of picking up the highway. They have those signs that people have trash on the highway. It's like, you can come in and maybe you just need a few things from me, because you're being you have a sacred pool, you have sacred waters, you have sacred oceans, you have sacred universes that you're taking care of. And so you take care of that, and you take care of yourself by proxy. There's being a surrogate, there's being a proxy, and so we move into that, but we can't sidestep things, right? So in order to do that, that first step is creating an environment where people can show up messy, where people can project things to you. Why? Because I found that I'm a really good person to people project mom issues, sister issues, authority issues. I'm too authoritative. I'm too perfect. I can't be that happy. These are all throughout my life. Oh, she's, whatever. You get the message. And the thing that I felt about that is, I am true to who I am. So as you're true to who you are, what happens is, you're true to who you are. You have your aura in a way that is like sealed, but it's also growing, and it's organic. And it's moving, okay? It's moving, has a lot of volition to it. So that when other people come in, and especially if you've already set up, this is a sacred space, oh, here, let's put this in the sacred pool. Oh, what else? It's kind of like saying, what are the things you don't like about yourself, but they're gonna see them reflected back in you. And why? Because you're a loving presence, and you're sacred, and you have the ability to transform that energy for them. So do that. So find a place to say that. A lot of times what I do is I have my clients write this out. I'm like, I want you to write it out, because I know if you write it out, it gets out of you. We can work with this energy and get rid of it. All right. I have a teacher. Lastly, I'll say that. So I have, another one of my teachers, amazing person. He one of the first things he said is, you have an issue with male authority, and you have an issue with me. And this is when we started. So he's like, in order for us to connect with each other, can we clear that? And I was like, yeah, let's do that. I'm like, that's amazing. Because how many times have you gone to people and really want to learn from them and really do the best you can, but there's always just something that doesn't let you do it, right? And so you're like, okay, there are ways in order to set the sacred waters before anybody comes in. So when they come in, they don't even know that connecting with the energy is already healing for them. Now, they may or may not be able to garner enough energy and volition to come to your class, but do you know sometimes it's just healing knowing it's available? And it's very healing if you don't send out something that says, oh, you missed it, tough luck. Oh, we're closing. Oh, too late. Don't do